What's up, YouTube? This is Let's Talk Horror Movies here, bringing guys a new movie review. Today I'm reviewing The Bride, which was written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, starring Jessie Buckley, Academy Award winning Jessie Buckley, Christian Bale, Penelope Cruz, Peter Skarsgård, and a few others. And it tells the story of a girl named Ada, who was killed and murdered, but is brought back to life by Dr. Euphonius and through the help of Frankenstein's monster, played by Bale, who's looking for because he's lonely. So that's the, I guess you say, basic idea of what the movie is, but there's much more to it. And I know this movie came out a few weeks ago, but I wanted to really, part of why it's taking me time to get to this review is more of just after work, I get off work and it's just like, have other things, going to see other movies. But besides that, but it was finally, I wanted to see a second time, honestly, overall, before I got to the review. And ultimately, I did love this movie. It's at my number one so far. I also have Project Hail Mary right there. So those are at least my top two movies of the year so far. But what The Bride it also is a punk rock, wild, messy, I think intentionally as well. It's all over the place. Certain storylines I'm particularly, there's things here where you feel like they don't give enough time to. But that didn't hurt the movie overall for me, but I could see the issues for some people. It is very loud. And I don't think I heard the complaints about it being as loud, or I guess the feminist feel to it, which I think makes the most sense to have that kind of social context to this movie when it's called The Bride. Because from what my knowledge of The Bride of Frankenstein, she's only in the movie for 2-3 movies and she doesn't say anything in the 1930s film. So in a way, this is trying to give her voice throughout the film. She's trying to find her voice after being brought back to life, and I think that's a very interesting. And there's another story point that also with her with the voice comes is the use of Mary Shelley. Now, his voice comes in throughout the film with Ada when her which is one of the most interesting, I think, elements to the film and most unique and just not what I expected from the film was to have Mary Shelley speak through Ada throughout the film. And Ada knows she's there and who are you? And kind of will you tell me my name? No, and she's also played by Jessie Buckley, which is incredible. Just Jessie Buckley gives one of his performances is just amazing. It's hard to not appreciate what she's done. I still have to watch Hamnet. From what I know, it's very emotional, but I know she gives from what I've heard, she gave an Oscar-winning performance, and I think she does here. Whether you like this film or not, I think she gives an Oscar-winning performance. Christian Bale, I think, gives also a really great performance as Frankenstein's monster. Very different from Jacob Elordi's, where Jacob Elordi does have that loneliness to him, but he was just born. This Frankenstein's monster has been around for over 100+ years, and he's just been lonely, and that is kind of, that is sad. And the way he gets through that is watching movie musicals around Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And there's interesting dialogue when he first meets the Dr. Euphonius, I believe was the name. I apologize if I got that wrong, but she was played by Annette Bening, who's great as well. There's a dialogue I think they could have made it not sound as he just wanted sex, but in the movie it's obvious that that's not just what he wants. He wants more. He just doesn't want to be lonely, and I really liked that about Frank. That's not what he's looking for. He's not looking for like how these other men in this time period, and in this time period, yeah, men were not. Most men probably didn't treat women that well, and I think this is around the time where they got some rights or whatnot. Um, and it is a ugly world, especially where Ada was coming from. And it is just it's a hard watch. And then you have these detective people played by Peter Sarsgaard and his secretary played by Vanellope Cruz, which I think they were good. Now there's a scene towards the end with Skarsgård. I did not like the performance. I think was pretty unsincere. I think Vanellope Cruz is fantastic as well. I think she gives a really she knows what she's doing, especially even though she's in a time period that just really doesn't allow her to, that just doesn't accept that she actually is as good as she could be a detective. She should be a detective. Whereas Peter Skarsgård is the one that has to talk around the guys and try and let her do her thing, kind of thing. And it's interesting. They have a good chemistry together about working together. And Peter Skarsgård, I think, has some funny elements, and he gets to again, the emotional scene with Peter Skarsgård, it just doesn't feel as sincere. I think because he's trying to cry at the same time, and it just doesn't feel like. And that's where I'm getting into. I guess I'll get into my big negative of we don't get enough of Peter Skarsgård and Jessica Buckley's character where there's a story, there's something that involves Jessie Buckley because she recognized her when he sees her with Frank and stuff like that, and we don't get a lot of that, along with the kind of the mob boss particularly, and then he has these two goons who was around Ada in the beginning of the film, and he wants them to do something to finish. We don't get enough of that. This is Ada and Frank's story, really Ada about finding her voice, and throughout the film, and it is also a Bonnie and Clyde, but I don't but to me they weren't villains per se. Yeah, they were forced into situations that made them. I think the scene in the hall where with all the big huge dinner party or whatnot, that's the one scene where you could say, okay, she had the gun and she's freaking out, but she's trying to speak up for the dead, which has that commentary. That's the situation, or but again, most of the time were put into a situation where they had to kind of defend themselves, and I think that's a really interesting, because when you look at the Universal monsters, they've been known as more of misunderstood creatures instead of outright villains per se. Now maybe Dracula, I don't know if I would say Dracula is so much, but the Wolfman, Frankenstein, those are characters you could totally see them as tragic characters, and I think that's what they brought here. Each step of the way you see more messed up and gross things happening to especially Ada, but Frank is looked at as something else. Again, because when you go to a for him throughout the movie, him going to the movies, that doesn't sound like someone who wants to hurt people, or he wants to live a life that makes him happy, and it's does that sound like somebody who's going to murder? It's not what you again, that's not what I don't think the Frankenstein character was meant to, or Frankenstein's monster was ever to be, was a total vicious beast or anything like that. But I really love Jesse and Christian in their performances and the makeup, how they each look. I love the black splattered on the Jesse, to make her that's her thing. and then Frank obviously is made from different body parts, and it's very, but the movie is very loud and it's very aggressive in the themes it's going for, especially this, the sexuality. There, I think Maggie said that there was a scene they had to cut, that where I think Frank was licking, was with his, something with his black tongue or black liquid or something. It was something that she had to cut due to, it was a bit too much. And it's a lot. And not everyone will like that, and not everyone will like the social commentary to it. But again, it's there. I mean, I think, and that's meant to be that because this is called The Bride, but I think it's still a very entertaining movie, even if it has that in here. I think, again, performances, the visual aesthetic, it is insane. It is, again, it's beautiful to look at. Like, there's certain abstract images, like especially when you go into the mind of Mary Shelley, or you see Mary Shelley and then you see Ada, it's so very vastly interesting, and I just appreciate what Maggie Gyllenhaal did. Like, overall, I think the messier stuff of the movie is more just having to do with certain characters, like, again, with the gangsters and the mob boss, having these two guys who you do meet at the beginning of the film, who are with a, like I said earlier. It really doesn't feel like that goes, like it goes somewhere, but it doesn't. You don't get to. They're not. Those characters are not fleshed out. Like, especially the mob boss is not really fleshed out. Like, but again, that's not. I don't think you wanted that. The movie's called The Bride, so you don't want to get into that. I guess there's some things, and then I feel like with again, ultimately, I think with Peter Skarsgård character, I don't think it's sincere. And again, because we learned this towards the end of the film, before I think that within the last 20 minutes of the film, we learn about how he knew Ada. Is a tough thing to really, just, throw out there. Like, you don't mention this until now. It's just kind of like, that's a bit frustrating, I'll say. I like the doctor, the new doctor who helps Frankenstein bring Ada to life. I think she's funny. I think she's entertaining. Annette Bening she's really good. But yeah, that are my thoughts. Like I said, it's in my top 2 of the year. I don't know where it's right now. It's still at 1, and I have Project Hail Mary at 2. I want to see it again one more time. I mean, they're 2 completely different movies, but I love them both for different reasons. Obviously, I think this is a movie that it just worked for me. I'm not, again, if it didn't work for you, that sucks. But again, if it doesn't work for you, it just doesn't work for you. Sometimes I know it feels like a lot of people, it didn't work for a lot of people, but you know what, that will happen. We're not going to love everything. I appreciate everyone who puts their thoughts into what they feel. Like, no matter what you think of something, of a movie, if that's how you feel, you should speak how you feel without. I mean, is there a way to be without being a dick? I'm sure, because there's people that probably who are dicks or just not cool about it. But again, when you're talking, having conversations, and you see from different people's point of view, I think that's really important. But The Bride is definitely, I think, it is a risk. It was a gamble. Unfortunately, it did not succeed financially. I think it got more positive reviews than negative, but it still wasn't the success it wasn't close to the success I think the studio wanted. Like I said, it's risky. It's a gamble. It's wild. It's crazy. It goes for broke, and it works for me. So I really do hope you guys enjoy this review. Let me know what you guys thought of The Bride. Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys just thought I was okay, or you may, or you have not seen it? Let me know in the comments down below. This is Let's Talk Horror Movies signing off. Peace.